Hi, everyone, and welcome to the You Are the Magic Chat series. I'm your host, Kylie James, and today we are talking to an amazing person and a dear friend of mine, Kym Byrne. So, welcome, Kym. How are you today?
I'm great, Carly. Thanks for having me.
Oh, fantastic. Before we do delve into our conversation, though, firstly, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we live and pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. We acknowledge that both Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people continue to live in spiritual and sacred relationships with this country. How are you today? You're fantastic.
Oh,
That's great.
quite good to say.
Say that again, sorry.
I said it's always good to say that.
Oh, fantastic. It is. It is very good to say it. So,
Yes,
um,
yes.
yeah. For our listeners out there, I'll just give you a quick introduction to Kym and who she is. And then I'll hand it over to her so she can talk a little bit more about herself and share a bit of her journey through her midlife years, and some of the magic things that she has done. And then we'll just see where the conversation goes. So, Kym is a registered nurse with more than 30 years' experience, and she's worked in a huge amount of industries, but most recently really delved into the aged care industry. And I know she's super, super passionate about that. And I'm sure that will really come through in our conversation today. She's a mum of three boys. They're all kind of starting to flock the nest. So, life is looking a little bit different. Um, and I think the most thing is you just understand the difficulties around what it's like as you age, and that the sheer um, importance of what it means to start planning as early as you can so that you can age with with dignity and with choice. And so with that, all of that passion and all of that knowledge behind you, you ended up starting your own consultancy agency, Options Plus, Aging with Choice. And you're there to help busy families kind of get through the processes, because it's a bit of a web. There's lots going on. So
Yeah,
did you
yeah,
want to tell us a little bit more about your journey and how you kind of decided to step into this
yeah,
space?
yeah. So, yeah, I guess I have been a registered nurse for so long, and I've had sort of probably two predominant roles in my life where I was a registered nurse, but I was a mum. So I have always worked and I've looked after the kids and been the mum. And as you said, all the boys are starting to, we've only got one left at home, we've got one overseas, we've got one moved out with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I guess I was finding myself wanting more and wanting to find myself again. And having worked in sort of nursing in everything, and then predominantly now in chronic health and aged care, I sort of went, oh, and then I was sort of trying to find, well, I'm not a mother anymore. What am I? My kids are all leaving home. They don't need me. And then I was just coming across people when I was visiting clients at my other job that they were struggling in their aged care, they were struggling working through it, the families were busy, no one knew what to do. And it was like, hmm, maybe I could help these people do that. And I
Yeah.
guess I sort of went, I need to do something that shows who I am as a person, not just a mum,
Yeah.
because I've started it a couple of years ago. So I hit 50 and going through all the menopause and everything about it. And am I good enough? No, I'm not good enough. And so I said, I'm going to start this business and do this consultancy. And it started off, I guess, with this little idea, and it has grown into something way bigger than that little idea. And it's been a good way of me, I guess, finding myself again outside of that role of motherhood and, being a wife and a mother, and just being me again and being
Yeah.
seen being seen as a person, not just a mother. So
Yeah.
it has
Yeah.
good. And I've just watched people struggling in that aged care decision making. People aren't aware of what how to do it, or when they should start planning and thinking through it. And it's so much more than just finding a nursing home or putting in some services to support you at home. There is so much more to it.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to be that voice for people, and guide those people that are busy, and family members that go, I want to help mum and dad, but I don't know how to do it, or
Yeah.
I don't have the time to do it.
Yeah.
So that's where they get.
Yeah.
So
And
it's, yeah.
yeah, I can absolutely 100% back you up on that fact. Is that I know, and I'm sure she won't mind saying my mum, I talk about her a lot on here, but my mum and dad, they're both in their 70s. And, it hit a time where, they needed a little bit more support and a little bit more connection. And I just didn't know how to give that. And then I started to delve into aged care. And, I was working in the public service at that point in time. So I was pretty savvy with trying to figure out different things, but still it was just overwhelming for me. And I was like, where do you start? And it's not just one system that you're looking at. There's so many different elements. And I guess that's where your experience of 30 years of kind of traveling through all the different parts of the health system kind of helps bring it all together. Because at this point in time, my parents don't need nursing homes and those sorts
No,
of things down the track. I mean, hopefully not, but you never know. But there's other support that is out there, but you just don't know about it.
no.
So it's
And
kind of
that's,
like,
I think,
yeah,
that's what I saw. That's what I saw
yeah,
all the time, is people just, you know, not being able to find the answers. So they just walked away and went, oh, there's nothing available. And it
mm,
was like, but there is things available. So let's sort that, because that's my little tagline, aging with choice. I'm all about trying to give people the choices. And I could not be more passionate about trying to
yeah,
keep people in their own homes, and the importance of planning for that
yeah,
sooner rather than later, rather than waiting for a crisis. You hear me say that all the time.
yeah.
Let's not wait till there's a crisis, because we get no choice then. There's a
That's it.
crisis
Yeah,
and we've got to fix it immediately. There's no choice. That's what
I love
happens.
that. Love that.
And people people sort of say, oh, I'm not at that stage yet. And it's like, well, let's have a think through it. Let's plan, let's have a chat. And invariably, they are at that stage. They do need that little bit of extra help. And if
Yeah,
anyone knows the aged care system at all, or the government system at all, you'll know that nothing happens fast.
yeah,
So you have to start the process, but just knowing, I really just like to impart knowledge onto people and just say, you can get this, 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 and this. And have you heard of this? And this is
yeah,
how you get this. And, like I like to stay on top of what everyone can have. So I like to say, well, yeah, you can have that. And then
mm,
sometimes I have to advocate because they've been told they can't have that. And I know they
yeah,
can have that.
yeah,
So, I think and that's been amazing, because
yeah,
I've met so many people that are at my age that don't know how to help their parents, and
yeah,
they're busy themselves. So
yeah.
it's nice to be able to offer that service to people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if I put my HR hat on, I actually think this is a brilliant option to bring into workplaces as well.
Yeah.
And, I guess, from a HR perspective, my whole, when I get on my bandwagon, it's all about how do we support our employees to make life a little bit easier. And,
Yeah.
they'll be happier at work, they'll be more productive, et cetera, all of those sorts of things. And so, how can we lean in and help our, you know, people who are kind of at that age that need a little bit of support or information, but also how do we get them to start planning now so they're not hitting, 70 and their kids have to start the process, so it's kind of can we
Yes.
kind of start this again or start earlier and get things in get the ducks in a row, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
And I know that's
Definitely
a
can.
topic that you're
Yeah.
passionate about, is
Yeah.
that planning
Yeah.
piece.
It is. And I think it is that planning thing that I just want to drive home so much to people, and that's my space that I want to do so much more work in. But because I see that people don't do it. But when we talk aged care, like I used to say to people, don't glaze over, like it's, because people think it's a boring topic. And I get frustrated because just because you get grey hair does not mean you're not a valuable member of society. You don't still have choice and options, because there's so many more things. But if people aren't aware of those things, they can't plan for those things. So when we hear aged care, people will think immediately nursing home. That's all they hear. If you did a poll on people and you said, what's aged care to you? They'd say a nursing home. And it is far from that. There is so many options.
Yeah.
So just even people our age, when they're working with their parents, planning with them and saying, well, okay, have you got this? Are you doing that?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts down the track? Like, you're
Yeah.
not going to be getting any services now, but you're going to be able to develop that information, and then you're sharing it to you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
workplaces that can do these talks, and this is what happens when you're caring for your parents, or this
Yeah.
is what we can plan for.
Yeah.
Simple things, EPOAs, wills, advanced health directives, or things like that, that we all go, oh, we're not at that age. We don't really need that
Yeah.
information. It's like, well, no time like the present to start planning
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah.
So yeah, planning, planning, planning. I just love that thing, and I would love to do so much more in that, so people are a lot more aware of what's out there and what they
Yeah.
can get, rather than, I get so many people that come to me and go, Mum's got to go into a nursing home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I go and meet them, and I go, and Mum goes, I don't want to go in a nursing home. And I go, oh, what help have you got coming in? Nothing.
Yeah.
And then I go, well, what do we put da 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 in? And then Mum gets to stay there for another couple of years.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and
So there's
that's
different options, and
yeah,
it's just kind of knowing about that.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And that's
I,
where it is. People just hear that aged care and they just go, oh, that's boring.
yeah. But
And it,
I think it's, sorry, I just cut you off there.
that's all right.
I was just going to jump in and say, we put so much emphasis on financial planning. Have we got our super? Have we got our finances sorted when we're all, so when we're older, we can survive and all those sorts of things. And one of the key things that I talk about is, why aren't we planning for now? So why aren't we planning for our careers? Why aren't we planning for, what life is like from, 40 and above, from 50 and above? Like, why are we waiting and kind of, till it's why are we focusing on the latter stage of life? Why can't we stay, plan a little bit earlier? And I guess this is still the same kind of argument, I guess, that you're
Yeah,
trying to say is, let's not focus on when we get, when we're there. Let's
yes,
focus on before that, so we're prepared, so when we get there things are a little bit smoother, because generally when we're in that time everything's a bit emotional, and we might
yeah,
not be thinking clearly, like there's lots going on then.
and definitely 100%. You it's an emotional time because you're making some big life choices. But if you've already had conversations about these life choices way earlier on in life, and you've chatted to your family, and all of those conversations are out,
Yeah.
then it's not a huge big decision, because you've already sort of made some plans in your mind. They're not, you don't have to, like, people go, I'm not ready for a nursing home. It's like, oh, of course you're not. But what's out there for you? What's your choices? Like, where do you see yourself? Is being at home for the rest of your life where you want to be, or do you see yourself in a retirement home? And and I always say, if your goal is one thing, then start planning to make that goal happen. So if it's wanting to be at home all the time, then have a look at what sort of house do you live in? Is it is it high set? Is it low set? Like,
Yeah.
I think you think things through like that, and then you can reach your goal. Like, you just
Yeah.
make that happen. But people just aren't aware of what's out there. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to make it normal to be speaking about aged care, or not even aged care, just to speak about aging.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
all aging.
Yep.
We're all aging.
We're all heading in
And
that direction.
but
Absolutely.
we
Yeah.
were, and we're definitely an aging population.
For
So,
sure.
I've talked to you about this, about, really disrupting the system, and
Yeah.
making aging fun. Like,
Yes.
I'm so passionate about it. And I think, why do we have to just get grey and be boring? Like, we don't have to be. But, like, the perception of people's thoughts for residential aged care is like a prison. I can't go anywhere. I'm locked in my
Yeah.
room, which is
Yeah.
so not true.
Yeah.
You know, so it's really
Said a lot.
is getting that voice out there of aged care, and that it's okay. It's
Yeah.
it's not, it's not the end of the world. It's actually starts a lot of people that have been lonely and miserable, and they go into these places, or they start getting services, and they're different because they've got that connection and that community back. Because we
Yeah.
retire, we've talked about this, like, we
Yes.
retire
Yeah.
and then we just sit and grow old.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
that's what we do. We
Yeah.
retire
Yeah.
to grow old.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what's the purpose of that?
Yeah. Well,
So
I 100% agree with you. I love this. I love this direction that you're getting in.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I just think any conversation that you can have about aging and how to age better, because we are an aging population. So if we can do things now to age better, so our outcomes as we get older are better, then why wouldn't we want to have those conversations?
Yeah.
Like that.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
important. So, I bring all my nursing skills. What sets me apart is I bring all my nursing skills, all my chronic health nursing
Yeah.
skills, and I bring all of that into this role. So I look at all their health and I go, okay, well, maybe we should look at this, and we should start doing that. And if that means then your goal is obtainable for a lot longer than what it would have been if you didn't start thinking about your health, sometimes it's just having that little conversation with people and saying, well, have you thought about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then,
Absolutely.
so, what I find is family members get involved and they say one thing, and the mother or the father go, "Uff, I'm not," and then I can come in, say exactly the same thing. And I'm this little angel with me halo on,
Yeah.
and the daughter and the son are not, but I've said exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's tough. I like to take a lot of pressure off family and sort of be that middle person that can carry that load, that the family are so upset. The family just want best for the parents, but sometimes what they see is the best outcome for them isn't really what that mum and dad wants.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then I have to not only work with my client about what's the best, but work with the family in saying, this is about choice for your parents. And that's what I'm about. I'm about giving them choice and making them do what they want to do, because that's what I'm about too. I don't
Yeah.
like I don't like to bully people and railroad them into something that because the family thinks it's the best thing.
Yeah.
So, but that comes down to the family not knowing what's available.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
know,
I,
there's yeah.
I love everything you're saying about this, and I think it's just important. It's a lot of education. There's a lot of knowledge transfer that you're doing, and I think it's a real privilege to have people like yourself with that knowledge that wants to share that. because it will only make everyone's quality of life better at the end of the day. And, you know, I love that. But I do want to pivot our conversation a little bit, because as much as we've been talking a lot about your business and what you do in that, and absolutely, I know how passionate you are, and I hope our listeners can hear just how passionate you are. But I want to talk a little bit about your journey, because you made a choice. You made a choice, you know, as you said, to leave your job and jump into this business. And you could have taken the easy path. You know, I've just hit 50. I'm just going to hang about, keep doing this, get my wage come in. But instead, you said, no, I want to go follow this passion and this dream. And I know there have been moments where you're like, oh, this is a lot. It's a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
Talk us through a little bit of that process, because I know there are people out there who will be really inspired by your story, and also kind of want to know, like, what are some key things that you did that helped you along the way?
Well, I guess the big thing for me was I always worked for someone else. And to be perfectly honest, my most recent job has probably been the best job I have ever had.
Yep.
And I worked for an amazing company who was just the best company I've ever worked for. They were supportive of their employees. They looked after everyone. They really listened to everyone. And I sort of worked for them for a little while, but I knew that I just wanted something else. I wanted to, I don't know, I guess prove to myself that I still had something to offer that wasn't, I'm not going to ring my own bells, but I was really good at my job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my clients all loved me in that job as well. But I knew that there was something that I really wanted that was different. And the to be so scared to take that jump
Yeah.
and want to do something. And I started my business while I was still at that job. And
Yeah.
they were very, very supportive of me doing that, because it sort of balanced out with what I was working.
Yeah.
And I just sort of simmered along for a little while, but I knew that I wasn't putting everything into it. So I
Yeah.
did take that big jump.
Yeah.
But before I took that big jump, I did speak to a very wise coach who worked with me a lot in my, feelings and thoughts and am I good enough and all of that sort of stuff. Um, and that was very helpful because I sort of knew I can do this. But believe me, along the way, there has been ups and downs and fears and is this enough? Am I doing enough? Um, you know, am I good enough? Do I have enough knowledge?
Yeah.
And, it's just a constant mind game
Yeah.
all the time. But then chats like this, they make you go, yeah, I'm on the right path. But
Yeah.
the takeaways for me is just sharing how you're feeling, like talking to people.
Yeah.
Um, but don't be afraid. If you see that there's something that you're really passionate about, don't sit and wait because you'll miss that opportunity.
Yeah.
You'll miss the opportunity. And I was lucky because the organization that I work with, so they just they're still really good to me, and they would wish I could come back, but
Yeah.
they could see that what I wanted to do was very important role. So they sort of helped me along and went, off you go. But, I think just being able to, have the courage to take that leap, I
Yeah.
think is a big thing. And,
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, you don't know what tomorrow holds, but you can just keep being passionate about the thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
And, but I think it's groups like this that, women really like to connect, don't they? Like we like to have that base, and it's nice to know that, I've listened to the other podcasts and people saying the same things about that fear of taking that jump, and particularly when I've come from being a mother and having to be reliable and um, like be there for the kids, and now all of a sudden there's your space and
Yeah.
you've got that all to
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
So you know, I think it really is just reaching out and making sure you've got the connections. But don't, if you've got a dream, go for it. Like,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you've got a passion, follow it, because if you don't, you're going to have regrets all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, look,
Yeah. What if? What if?
absolutely. And I'm a, massive supporter for that. And but also agree with you. It's not easy. You have to work at it. And it's whether it's constant mindset work or, shrugging off the naysayers or,
Yeah.
just quietening down that little inner voice in your head that, might be telling you that you're not good enough or no, stay small, stay in your little box because, don't get too big for your boots kind of thing.
Yeah.
You have to shut that down if you do want to go for it because that's how you are going to make a difference.
Yeah.
But you can do it in your way. You don't have to do it in everybody else's way, if that makes sense. You can do it in your way and you can take the time that you need. So everything doesn't need to be done in 5 minutes and,
No,
it
that's
can
exactly
take
right.
time to grow.
And I think that's the best part about, doing your own business and running your own business is it's yours.
Yeah.
So you get to set the plan. You get to decide how big it is or how little it is or
Yeah.
what you do with it and who you want to work with and who you don't want to work with.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of having your own business.
Yeah.
And for me, as I said, I started off with a little idea, and it's grown into so many different ideas.
Yeah.
And I think that grows your own well-being in yourself, because you're like,
Yeah.
is something else, and then it opens the door.
Yeah.
So even if you don't end up at the same door you opened, there's so many other doors you've opened along the
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
that it's all worthwhile.
Absolutely. I think
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful outlook that you've got. And I know, it's been something that you've been working on for probably the last 18 months
Yeah.
now, because you're right, things pop up all the time and it's like, oh, hang on a sec, I've got to go and do a bit more work on that bit,
Yes.
and then you need to take a break and then you come back and then, you keep,
Yeah.
you have to keep chipping away, I guess, if you are that passionate about something. So
Yes. But I think the big takeaway for me is, don't wait until you think everything's perfect to
yeah,
start,
yeah,
because there's never going to be a right time to start living that dream or
yeah,
following your passion, because your ducks are never going to all be in a row.
yeah, yeah,
There's always going to be someone that tells you it's not good enough idea or this is not good enough. So, I think we do get caught up in that. When I've done this and this and this, then I'll do that.
yeah,
And then something happens and, oh no, well, now if I've done this or this. So you don't wait until you think things are perfect, because they're never going to be perfect.
yeah,
Yeah, can only be as good as what you decide for it to be.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Love that.
and
Love
there'll be ups and downs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good and bad moments, and
But,
just moments. Yeah,
it is, but it's so nice as a woman, as a, 53-year-old menopausal woman. I can say that, you get to find yourself a lot more, and you get to really find your voice and think
yes,
about what you want to say
yeah,
and where you feel comfortable in your own space.
yes,
But and it's me. This is about me, and it's about what I believe in and what I'm so
yeah,
passionate about.
yeah,
So it you do have to, you're right, you do have to sort of drown out those people that sort of,
yeah,
maybe aren't that passionate about what you are passionate about. So then you start thinking, oh, I'm not good enough. And that's a natural woman thing, I think, that we always think, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. But Yeah, I just say if you've got some thought in your head that you think I'm passionate about this and I want to do something, then follow that dream and go and
Yeah,
think about it. Don't wait till it's a perfect time because there's
yeah,
never a perfect time.
yeah. I love that. I think, yeah, I think like we want our life to work for us, not against us, and sometimes we get in our own way with all of that.
Yeah,
And if you can notice what lights you up and if you can follow that, do it
yeah.
because your life will be so much more richer. And I don't necessarily mean it in a financial way. I mean, richer
No,
in so many ways because you'll surround yourself with amazing people who will lift you up. You will, connect with clients and other people, colleagues, and those sorts of things who are just as passionate about running their business as you are running your business. You'll have some great collaborations, and I know we've talked about doing a few things along with another friend of mine, Rochelle, because I think there's just so many good connections that small
yeah.
businesses can make as well. Is there
That's
the one question that I have is there anything that you miss about not 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 working for somebody anymore, because there's so many positives out there, and I know in our listeners today there's a lot of women who don't want to run their own business. They're really comfortable
yeah.
working for other people. So what did you love about that?
The thing that I love about working with other people is the connection. Like and it, I guess having your own business and it's just me, um, is it's quite lonely.
Yeah,
Where when you're working for someone, there's always, space to download things and talk about things and, um, you know, I there was always people around. Wherever I worked, there was always a team. We worked as a team. Whereas now it's a lonely space. And it can be really lonely at times because you get excited about something, but there's no one around.
yeah.
So there's no one to come back and go, oh, I've just had this worst, meeting with a client. And that's what I used to do. I used to be able to
Yeah,
go back, talk to the other nurses and go, oh, what do I do? So
yeah,
you always sound it off. So I do miss that. I miss the team. I miss the people. But then that's why I'm trying to grow and develop connections so I
yeah,
can hang out with these people when I feel like I need a little bit of support. And that
yeah,
that takes time, but it's hard when you've always worked in a team.
yeah,
You sort of miss that. I do
yeah,
miss that. And it
absolutely.
can be a lonely space. So you really have to work on that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And
yeah.
and there's so many networking avenues out there that you can reach out
Yeah.
to help you with that as well. It's just finding them and finding that right tribe, I guess, that
Yeah.
you feel comfortable in and you feel like you're belong, because at the end of the day that's what we want to belong in a space, whether that's a workplace, whether that's a networking space, school, whatever. Yeah,
It doesn't even have to be in the same industry. Like
that's right. Yeah, yeah,
it's someone that's in this business space that goes, I get you.
yeah,
I get you. Or this is what I do. Like,
yeah,
have you thought about doing that? Like, and that's where I think sometimes we just focus on our own industry that, there's so many more opportunities to network with people. Yeah.
there is incredible people out there doing incredible things, and you're one of those. So thank you for sharing, your story about your business, but also your story about, changing from, being an employee to being a business owner, but also, being real about the challenges and the opportunities that presents itself. So yeah, it's a wonderful journey to go on. I say that becoming, making a big life change is a real personal development journey.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
And you can do it. Like,
yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's just sometimes our mindset tells us that we can't.
yeah, yeah,
So,
for
it's
sure.
reaching out to those people to say, help me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Help me
absolutely.
find my self-belief again. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much. I love what you do. I love who you are. I've had the privilege of working with you to help my mum and dad, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to share this, but also because you are doing amazing things out there. And I think this topic needs to be talked a lot more broadly. And I would love to be able to help you, expand your ability to be able to have that conversation more broadly. um, but yeah, I feel privileged that you have, that our paths have crossed and that we've been able to support each other as small business
Yeah.
women as well in our journeys, because we have had slightly, different journeys, but kind of similar ones as well. So, yep, I get you. I understand the loneliness, but also understand the absolute exhilaration where when you kick a goal, it's all something that you've achieved. And often the first time, it's like this big smile. You can't take a smile off your face because that was really super cool.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
that's right.
But thank you so much. I just appreciate you being on here.
Thanks for having me.
Um, and for all of our listeners, where can they find you?
Uh, so I'm based in Brisbane, but I actually work all over Australia. So Zoom is an amazing tool, and I can really go anywhere in Australia, and I can have those conversations with people. So I do have a website, Options Plus, and you can get me on Facebook as well, Options Plus. Um, I'm sure Kylie can point
Yeah,
you in the
yeah,
right direction. But
yeah.
if
We'll
you know,
tag
you can
everything.
find me on Google. But yeah, I'm happy if anyone needed, they wanted to touch base and say, could we just connect? And I can ask you a few questions to see if I need your help or whatever. I can do that too. You can just,
Yeah,
'cause as I say, you can be anywhere in Australia, and I can Zoom call you.
yeah.
So the questions are the same, the system's the same, so it's easy to talk to people. So feel free to look me up. But
Oh,
yeah, Facebook
fantastic.
or my website.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. Well, I'll make sure that they're in the notes so
Yeah,
that people can reach out to you. Because yeah, if you need help, it's just to get the pressure taken off you, whether you're the person who needs the care or you're someone who's supporting people who need care. It's just an amazing service to get. So thank you once again. Next week, we are back. We'll be recording some more interviews with some amazing people. We've got authors, we've got spiritual coaches, and we've got some health coaches as well. So yeah, there's a bit of a mixed bag coming through, and we also have a HR manager as well. So we may even get into this conversation around what we need in the HR space, which is where you start to see a lot of my passion come out. So thank you very much to everybody. Remember, all the magic is inside of you. You are the magic. And as Kym said, go chase your dreams. Don't wait, just start.
that's
Have a
right.
great day.
Thanks,
Bye.
Kylie.
Bye.